Hey there internet, it's Colin here from Cascade Juggling, and today we're going to have a look at some 3-ball juggling tricks. So what we're actually going to have a look at today is a whole series of tricks and moves that you can combine in different ways to make your own little juggling sequences and such. If we're talking terminology for a second, this all comes under the term, kind of umbrella term of non-continuous juggling framework. Don't worry about that right now, it's actually really easy and really accessible. I think this is a great thing for beginners to have a shot at, also intermediate jugglers. And you know what, see, even if you can already juggle 7 balls and you have a whole bunch of crazy patterns and stuff, you might still learn something from this. I know I did when I learned it. I'd already been juggling for years and someone introduced this to me and it blew my mind, you know what I mean? So yeah, let's dive in. So the basic idea of this then is we're going to make a base pattern to work from. So I've got 2 different colored balls here. You don't need to worry about this, but I'm going to do this so we can see the 2 different types of throws happening a bit easier. So the base pattern we're going to start with is really easy. The yellow ball here is going to be our crossing ball, and it's just going to go back and forth between these 2 hands. Our red balls here are going to be the self, so all they're ever going to do is just go up and down to themselves. And so when we put it together, our base pattern right now is going to be the crossing ball goes over, and then the ball in the offhand that's on its own is going to do a self. And then the crossing ball goes back, and then this one in the offhand is going to do a self. And so when we kind of go a bit faster with it, you get this little back and forth here, where our balls, they never really change. The red one's always kind of going up and down here, the yellow one's always going across. And you see at any point here, I can just stop, I can take a moment, and I can continue. So we can make this as slow as you want, or as fast as you want. Brilliant. So that's the first base pattern. What we're now going to do with this base pattern is we're going to have some fun with it. So how we're going to do this is we're going to start with the red balls, so the ones that are just going up and down on their own to the hand on its own. And we're going to try and do something a bit different with them. So the first one I would say is kind of fun and kind of easy, is see if the one that has the 2 balls in it, you're going to hold it here, and we're going to throw over that arm. Yeah? And just get used to this with 1 ball for a little sec. And to do this, you can either, this arm can move underneath it, or you can move the arm that catches underneath. Or kind of a combination of both is quite nice. It makes it quite small and relaxed. So if we try and then put this into our base pattern, it becomes this. Boop, boop. The yellow ball is still going just back and forth between the 2 hands, but the red balls are always going over the arm. And you see the yellow ball here is actually just kind of getting thrown almost straight up, and the hands are kind of moving to catch it rather than it kind of being a nice arc back and forth. That's fine. You can even change it a little bit more, and we could do the yellow almost as a back across the opposite sides. And so now that we've got the first variation on this red ball where it goes over, what we can try and do is think of another one. So maybe instead of it going over the top, maybe we go underneath and it comes over like that. Throwing under the arm and back to the hand. And so now if we put this throw back into our base pattern, it looks like this. What we could even do, if we want to really have a bit of fun with ourselves, we could say my right arm is going to do the throwing over, and my left hand is going to throw under. And then you get a very one-sided kind of pattern. Recap so far is we've taken the red ball from our base pattern, and instead of it just going straight up and down, we've either gone over the arm or we've gone under the arm. Really 2 nice easy variations But we haven't looked at this yellow ball much yet, so let's do that next. So I think the first one we're going to do with our yellow ball here is, instead of it crossing across the front, what we're going to do is we're going to throw the yellow ball straight up, we're going to move the arm out of the way, and we're going to catch it underneath. So the yellow ball becomes that. And so our yellow ball is still crossing hand to hand each time. It's never going up and down on its own, it's always crossing. And we're just making sure that each time we're catching it underneath. Underneath. So you're going to throw, move the hand. Throw, move the hand through. And so our base pattern now becomes, with this, boop, 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 boop. So we can already see that to make this pattern like run smoothly, we're already going to have to like change the red ball that's doing the self, because it could just do that, but then we're still in this like cross position. So to get them uncrossed again, it's quite nice if it just has a little arc over and it's still just doing self, but it's just moving where the self is. And that leaves us like nice and free to like be uncrossed for the next like yellow ball throw. But here, you know, as we've already talked about, there's also other variations we could do with the red ball. We could put any of the two that we've already done into this pattern along with our yellow ball throw. So the first one we're going to try with the red balls doing something else is we're going to still have our yellow one kind of doing that little like cross arm bit here. Instead of this arm coming out here, we're going to drop it, basically just throw it straight up, catch it under the arm, and then yeah, we're already in that position for the yellow ball to then come that little cross next, catch under the arm, yellow ball, catch under the arm, yellow ball, catch under the arm. We get this little like kind of funky arm cross. As we can see, this already looks quite fancy, no? So now that we've talked about a couple of different variations you can do with this, how do you progress? How do you like do more things with it? Basically, you can learn any like little one ball throw you want. So it can either be a self here, or it can be a crossing throw, one hand to the other. Doesn't really matter. But say if we're going to learn a different self with the offhand, maybe we want to do like a little arm bounce, we can then put that into the pattern. Maybe we want to do a knee bounce with the crossing ball, because that's always kind of a fun one. We could do like a pop across there and change knees if we want, or you could keep the same knee. Whatever you fancy, as long as the other one goes across here. This counts, and we can combine that with, say, the arm bounce then. So we could go bum bum, bum bum. Whoop. That ball's gone the wrong way. There we go. As we can see then, this is already like quite a lot of like versatility here. If you can just, even with these like 3 or 4 throws, there's a whole bunch of like different tricks and stuff that you could come up with. And at any point, you can just like learn a new throw with one ball. And this is like the best way to get better at this type of juggling, is to just learn a throw with one ball, and then you can pretty much instantly put it into your thing. So, you know, whatever you want. I think our next video as well is also going to be a little continuation on this, with how to learn one ball tricks and how to get better at just like throwing and catching generally and boost your progress. So come back for that later on. But in the meantime though, where else could we go with this? So there are a bunch of like different like base patterns you could use. Another one that I really like is all 3 starting in one hand, and we're just gonna like move all 3 over to the next hand. And so the base pattern is just 3 across, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you can do things like come up with patterns where each ball is thrown a different way, or like caught a different way. So we can go that like over the arm trick, we can do the knee bounce, maybe we like put a little arm bounce there. And so boom, 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 boom. Other things we can do, I really like, this is one of my favorite ones actually, is just dropping all of the balls. And you can make this like really fun if you try and like stagger the like time of the drops. You know, almost like drop a line. You can even do this with the other base pattern actually. This is quite a fun one as well. All drops. The yellow one crosses, the red one goes to the same hand. Once you get really comfortable with this style of juggling, you kind of don't even really need to think about the base patterns anymore. You can just kind of make throws. And as long as you're thinking, you got loads of time in between each throw to like work out what your next thing is gonna be. But then you can like do all sorts of things where it just moves about, and then once you get like faster and smoother at it, you can just kind of like make all sorts of things up. And as you get more like fluid with this, you can do a lot of like things. If you like dancing, say, there's a lot of like space to like make it really like dancey, put some like more body movement into it. Another thing that's really great is you can incorporate bits of like more traditional kind of continuous patterns in here. So say you just want to like every so often do like a big throw and go back into your tricks. Say you're more into your kind of pattern style juggling and you want to throw a multiplex. What you could do is you could just wait for the balls to come down, throw your multiplex and continue juggling. Or you could maybe like make it a bit fancier, put a bit of flair into there with like a back in. And just that extra little like over the arm throw just takes up a bit more of the time where you would be just waiting on that ball coming down. And instead of that, you're just gonna like, yeah, throw that one over the arm, put a bit of movement into it, and you can make this as big as you want. You know? Other things that I think this is really good for, is say you're wanting to finish like a little sequence. Say you've been doing some like box and you've like, I don't know, got a little like box shower sequence that you're working on. And instead of just like stopping when you're done, you could like, yeah, let's like throw a little bit of like flair into it. So the last thing we're gonna have a look at here is that so far we've just been doing this with 3 balls, and we've had our like couple little 3-ball patterns that we like doing. But things like this work just as well with more. So you can always add an extra ball and take 4 balls. And so if we're doing this with 4 balls, our new base pattern is going to be 2 across. Oh, we're going to do 2 across and then the self. And so we can do all sorts of like So that's the end of the video for today. I can see my camera dying here, so I'm going to go through this very fast. But if you've liked the video, why not, hit the like button down below. It actually really helps us out, and you can even then subscribe to the channel and get notified when our next little video is going live, which is going to be all about 1 ball, like throws, catches, how to get better at throwing and catching, how to get more accurate, and how to come up with your own kind of little cool throws that you can add into this non-continuous framework. And yeah, I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye.